Hi everybody, Elliot Berry, your resident road safety expert, back again with another Q&A. We thank you very much for tuning in. We love those questions, keep them coming in. And as I always say, with my trusty subscribe pillow, hit the button that looks a bit like this pillow down there. We are somewhere around about 250 odd subscribers. We want to get to that 1,000 mark, so support us, and we'd love your support to get to that 1,000 subscribers. And that's when we'll say goodbye to this pillow, which is starting to look a little bit rough around the edges. So let's help put this pillow to bed. Okay, now on to today's question. So today's question is all around the ever hot topic and controversial topic of Japanese imported vehicles. So we'll probably put a link down below to maybe the website or something where you can see what we're talking about with Japanese imported vehicles. But within this mobility industry, there is a set of vehicles that comes into the country from Japan. They are second-hand vehicles that have been manufactured in Japan as disability access vehicles. So the most common ones that we will see, or the ones that are at the front of the mind, is the ones where the bottom floor of the vehicle is sort of cut out and there's a ramp that comes out and you kind of go up into the vehicle. Now they are sold on the market as a much cheaper option than like, let's say, buying a local car and getting it converted. And also they are sold as like the factory fitted conversion because it's sold as a Toyota conversion, and when you open up the thing, the car, there's all carpet all nicely in there and it looks like it's been done from the Toyota manufacturer, which it sort of has been, but it hasn't, and I'll explain a little bit of how it goes along. So the first and foremost, are the Japanese vehicles safe and are they okay and legal to use? And I guess a little bit of feedback around them. So what I'll do is I'll explain, I guess, a little bit of the history of these Japanese vehicles, what's around them, what are the issues around them, and also what we think about it. As we always say, there is a need for everybody and there is also always a solution for everybody. Now, Japanese vehicles do have a space in the Australian framework. They are allowed to be in here. They do operate functionally if they're registered correctly and safely, which I'll explain in a second. There's nothing wrong with them. And they do meet a certain part of the market where people may not be able to afford it, may not be able to get funding, may not be able to access other products, but the Japanese product is suitable for them. Typical problems with these Japanese products is that they are manufactured in Japan to Japanese standards, and those standards are different to ours. So the three common really main areas which are problematic in Australia is the vehicle height. So the interior height of those vehicles is very, very low, and you need to assess those vehicles often with a therapist or an allied health professional to make sure that you have the right clearances. And I'll put a link below to our clearance video that we've released earlier on a couple of years ago. But you need to make sure you have those clearances, and some of the smaller cars, they're really only made for kids. So you need to be aware of that. Typically the Japanese vehicles are not for 6 foot tall Aussie guys type thing, so that just doesn't work. The other thing is they need to be compliant with all the local standards. And in most of the area they are, because they're a compliant vehicle made by someone like Toyota or something like that. But the two areas where they're really not is the area of the restraints, so the things that hold the wheelchair down, and also the area of the ramp and the access ramps. So these are the common areas where they don't meet the requirements in Australia, and we need to make sure that they are either tested and certified to meet the requirements in Australia, or they have been replaced with a local option. So with the restraints, I can pretty much guarantee you that 99% of the Japanese restraints are not going to meet our standards, because in Japan they have a much lower safety standard for speed. So we have to test our standard restraints to 20 times, and they have to set the weight, and they have to test it to 5 times the weight. So we have 15 times more load on our restraints, and they don't. So it's pretty unlikely that their product will meet our standards. So most of them have to get restraints taken out and put new restraints in. With the ramp, what we've seen is a lot of the ramps are getting tested and they are compliant. You just need to make sure there's a certificate for that ramp, right? So is a Japanese vehicle okay? Yes, it is, as long as it's certified, it's tested, and it's got all the right components in there. One last issue I'll mention about the Japanese vehicles is spare parts. So the agreement of how this system works is that the companies like Toyota and Nissan and all those companies, they make those vehicles as a bit of a charity give back to their society. And so they are not required by law to support those vehicles into the future. So spare parts are almost impossible to get for those conversions. So if you have a ramp or something like that, or points in the floor, or a seatbelt, or some kind of conversion that's on those vehicles, and then it breaks, most likely you're going to have to budget to remove that entire thing and fit it with something locally, which could cost you actually more than what the car cost you. And we've seen that happen in real life here quite a lot. So those are the things to, I guess, consider around those Japanese vehicles. Hopefully that helps around the message of, and gives you a bit more of a picture around Japanese imported disability vehicles in Australia. They are definitely something that's here. They're definitely something that's used. They are good for one portion of the population. There is always somebody that needs something, and we don't believe in restricting access for freedom and independence for Aussies. So we think that if there is a use for it, why not use it? However, we do also support, our number one value is safety, and we want to make sure everything is safe and meets all of our local safety standards. So hopefully that helps. A bit more of a longer, convoluted video. Thanks very much for tuning in. As I say, hit that subscribe button there below, and we'll see you next time.